Hey everyone, one Sith here to do another video. So lately with Game of Thrones, people have been going angry about Dany turning evil. And I agree, but people have also been saying, it's just as bad as Anakin turning to the dark side of the Force. And I have to say, that is complete and utter bullshit! Right there! Complete and utter dog shit. You know why? Because Anakin had a fall from the get-go. Episode 1, 2, and 3, they come together and show us how Anakin fell. Dany's fall happened in 2 episodes, which made a little bit of sense, but not a lot of sense, okay? We didn't get that build-up. We get that build-up with Anakin. Another thing you have to remember, for example, is that Game of Thrones is a TV show. You've got more hours to put towards a character than a film, where you have to have the plot, the character, and the progression. In a show, you have all that, but you've got more time to tell it, okay? Which is why Lucas thought, well, you know what? The bit between the Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith, I will leave for a TV show, because you know what? There's some interesting, great story developments and characters we can do. But I've got to finish my trilogy where the Empire rises, the Republic falls, and the Jedi fall, okay? He knew what he had to make in terms of a story and what he could expand later on, but even still, Anakin, from episode 1, 2 to 3, actually works pretty damn well. We start off with episode 1, Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker, episode 1, is a slave, okay? Which is a pretty big thing for a kid, right? But also, he's a slave with basically nothing. Him and his mum live based around as the huts. His head will explode if he tries to escape. He is nobody. He is a nobody. Then the Jedi come in. The Jedi come in. And then he feels like he can become a somebody. He's told he could be a somebody. He gets that oomph to go into the pod racing, which could kill him. But you know what? He lives in a dangerous world and he doesn't care. Okay? He goes for it. And he wins. Imagine that. Being a nobody. Getting that fulfillment to say, you can do it. He does it. He wins. He wins the freedom. His own freedom. That's fantastic. And then he's got this father character in Qui-Gon who, let's be truthful here, is a fantastic father figure. But then you've got to remember that in time, by the end of the film, Anakin's seen war, death, he has seen basically his father figure die, at least in the end, and he feels like he has nothing. And then he gets told that he can be a Jedi, and that gives him that bit of hope that he can be a knight to help the world. But it's not like that. We get told immediately that he's too old. But, Chosen One prophecy, last bit with Qui-Gon, he becomes a Jedi, or at least he becomes a Padawan to become a Jedi. And of course, if you pay attention to the films, we also know that the Jedi can't have emotions, we can't have attachments. They can't be what Anakin was as a child, and since Anakin's too old, obviously, he hasn't got that kind of fulfillment that the Jedi need you to be. Which obviously caused conflict, because in episode 2 we see that he is a good Jedi, but he's emotionally unstable. He needs that loved one. He doesn't feel like the Jedi respect him. He doesn't feel like his own master respects him, which, let's be honest here, Obi-Wan Kenobi was not in the right mind to be a master. He was too young. He had no idea what he was doing, but he took it on anyway. We see Anakin need that connection with Padme, and then over time, his mother, who there he sees die in his hands, and then he goes completely nuts over it. Now, that's the thing. Anakin is emotionally unstable. Dany wasn't. She had moments, but she became stronger for it. Anakin had people around him that gave him strength. But when they started to falter, and die, or leave him, his soul and heart fell with him as well. And this is in the films, okay? This is where the directing of Lucas comes in. His directing was symbolism, metaphors, and the world. The music, the visuals, they all come together. He didn't want a scene where you had to spend hours over just dialogue and all this. He wanted you to see a scene and feel a variety of emotions, also make you piece things together. This is the old-fashioned way of storytelling, okay? And this is where I hate it when people say, but by the writing, it's like there's elements of writing that needs to be said. We need to see and be shown how Anakin is a slave, how he hasn't got his emotions ready, and how aspects like the Darkside can take a hold, which even makes more sense when we see via visuals and writing that Palpatine, for example, is, well, another father figure. His father figure dies in Phantom Menace, another one rises with Palpatine, who obviously is using the Darkside to get into his mind and his soul. Now, the big thing is this. we see Anakin go from episode 1 to 2, and by the end of episode 2, we see that he's had a lot of emotional problems, okay? We can kind of get an understanding where the dark side comes from. He's young, he's in love, he's in war, he's lost his mother, he feels like he's not being respected by the council, nor his master. And then we get to episode 3, and there is that time gap, but realistically, we, as the audience, should understand that war will change people. And we see that straight up. Anakin is less whiny, unless his emotions take place, but straight up he's like, we're in a war, his clone troopers are getting defeated, and he's like, I'm going to help them out. Automatically, he does not think of himself in the first person. He thinks of himself as the third person, right? It's not about him, it's about them. But he gets told, no, we are Jedi. We need to do our duty and our mission, which comes back later on, I would like to add. Goes on the ship, does all this, does all that, has a bit of banter. Bam, they fight Dooku. Now, in Dooku, he wins by giving in to his darkness. And as soon as he gives into his darkness, what does Palpatine do? Palpatine reminds him of the darkness that really was a big moment for him. Killing the Sand People, his mother's death. Which, when you think about it, using the darkness, saying that, giving that conflict and that progression of they trust each other enough that Anakin told Palpatine about that, that's a very strong thing that many people do not give credit for. Then, over time, the Council, people thinking that he needs to spy on Palpatine, him just being like, hang on, this is the Republic, what's going on? The war. We can see that combination. Everyone in Revenge of the Sith is distancing himself from Anakin. Padme, Obi-Wan, the Council, they're all tearing him down. And the only one there, really, the only one there is Palpatine, who is darkening his heart. Now, we know from the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy that the dark side can take hold and it can warp you, right? Now, here's the big bit. When Anakin falls, Mace Windu cuts the hand off, bam. Now, if you rewatch this scene, and I think this is a scene that really goes over most people's heads, which is disgusting because it is such a good scene. When Palpatine is talking to Anakin after he turns all darkness and devilry-like, his voice changes. And as his voice changes from good, it reverbs more, like he's got power now.
I will do whatever you ask.
Good. He has you in his hand, and he's willing to constrict you, to control you. And then, when we cut to Anakin, he looks up, he's on his knees, bowing to his master, and you see that he is in a trance. His visuals, his body language, the fact that Palpatine's vocal strength has changed to a more I am in control, tells us that Anakin has been controlled in a way. And we get that from piecing things together from what we heard from episode 1, episode 2, even episode 5 and 6, we learn that. We piece all this together that the darkness is within him, right? And I know people say it's all metaphorical and symbolic, but that's exactly what Lucas is doing. That's his filmmaking standard. That is how Lucas directs, okay? It doesn't need to be writing-wise. It doesn't always have to be told to you, okay? You are a smart creature. You do not have to be like, I don't understand it because the writing hasn't confirmed it. And it's like, it doesn't need to be fully confirmed. It can be subtle, okay? Things like music and metaphors, symbolism, again, build-ups, they all come together and create something. Only when later on, if they really want to continue on from there, they might say, okay, let's confirm it. And I hate this fact that people feel like something's dumb because it's not 100% confirmed. Technically, Jon being an Aegon Targaryen wasn't 100% confirmed until season 7. But in season 6, we had that transition from holding the baby to Jon Snow. Visually, we saw that that baby was Jon Snow. Yet people would still probably like, whoa, what's wrong with the transition? I don't know, it's just people are dumb. But, think of him like this. He's being controlled. The dark side was in him. He's in a trance. He does all that disgusting stuff. He's a red-eyed Sith Lord. He wipes out the Jedi, completely slaughters them. He wipes out the guys on Mustafar. But then we see that vision. That beautiful shot where he's crying. And to me, up until here, he was under the influence of the darkness, of the dark side. And then, in this moment, he's Anakin again, and he realizes what he's done. But he can't turn back, okay? It's like when you've done something stupid, and you know you've done something stupid. You're in rage, your anger took hold, which is exactly what happened to Anakin. And then when it dies down, you're like, shit, that was dumb. But I've already done it, I can't stop. Like, that happens to people. That happens in our environment and who we are. And this happened to Anakin. Anakin is then disgusted by what he does, but he knows when he doesn't give a shit anymore, when he gets rid of those emotions and the dark side fully takes hold, Anakin and Obi-Wan fight. There is that build up and it works so well. Anakin's fall is fantastic over 1, 2 and 3. It's not just, oh, he's a good guy then bam, he's a darkness guy. No, it's gradually gets there. which is how you got to look at the story of Anakin, not just episode 3. Dany, however, is a bit different because it happened in 2 episodes when we should have got that build-up similar to how episode 1, 2, and 3 builds up Anakin's fall. We didn't have that true build-up with Dany's turning into the Mad Queen. I think that's the biggest problem there. Anyway, that's the One Sith out. Still on Asgard. Bye.